Have you ever held a dream so deeply that it felt real to your soul, but completely impossible to your mind? Maybe you've stood at the edge of belief, wanting to take a leap, yet reason, logic, and facts held you back. If so, you're not alone. Today, I want to speak to that quiet part of you. The part that knows there's more, even when the world says no. This is about learning how to believe in spite of the facts, not because of them. It's about activating a deeper kind of knowing that doesn't rely on what your eyes see, but on what your imagination dares to create. Because here's the truth. Reality bends for the one who dares to persist in belief when everything outside says otherwise. So how do you believe it when reason denies it? Let's talk about that. Imagination creates reality. Let's begin with something most of us take for granted, imagination. For many, it's a word tied to childhood, to daydreams, to art projects and fantasy novels. But what if I told you that imagination is not only powerful, it's the creative force behind everything that has ever been brought into existence? Before anything appears in your outer world, it must first exist in the unseen. Every building, every invention, every success story, every breakthrough began as a thought, an image, an inner reality. Someone dared to imagine it long before it became visible. This isn't just poetic language, it's the foundation of transformation. Imagination is the blueprint of your reality. But here's where most people stumble. They believe imagination is just play, a pleasant escape. They don't realize that the act of imagining with feeling, of fully entering into a scene internally, is an act of creation. And even more importantly, it's an act of belief. When reason denies your dream, it's your imagination that becomes the bridge between where you are and where you desire to be. It becomes your lifeline. But to use it effectively, you have to stop treating it as fiction and start living from it as fact. Let me put this in practical terms. If you're facing a challenge, maybe it's financial, maybe it's health, maybe it's a relationship, you probably feel stuck because your senses are feeding you the same evidence over and over. Not enough money, progress, and the same arguments. And the mind, governed by reason, says, this is real. This is truth. This is what is. But truth in its deepest form isn't limited to current facts. It's shaped by belief. And belief is shaped by what you continue to accept inwardly as real. So instead of rehearsing the lack, the pain, or the struggle, you begin to imagine what you want to experience, but not from a distance. You don't visualize it as something that might happen one day. You close your eyes, drop into your heart, and see it as though it's already done. You feel the relief of the solution, the joy of the breakthrough. You imagine the text message saying you got it, or the call that confirms the opportunity. You feel yourself living in the outcome you desire, not hoping for it, but dwelling in it. And here's the secret. Your subconscious mind accepts what you consistently impress upon it. It doesn't argue with you. It doesn't care whether what you are imagining is physically in front of you or not. It simply responds to the dominant feeling and belief behind the image. So when you engage your imagination with emotion and repetition, you begin to shift your internal state, and the world around you, slowly or suddenly, must change to reflect that inner transformation. Now, some may say that sounds like make-believe, but I invite you to consider this. Hasn't everything you've ever experienced in life followed a thought, a belief, a mental picture of what you expected, feared, or assumed to be true? That's not magic. That's how consciousness operates. And while this may challenge everything you've been taught about logic, effort, and linear thinking, The results speak for themselves. People who begin using imagination deliberately report unexpected breakthroughs, coincidences, and opportunities appearing out of nowhere. But they're not really coming out of nowhere, they are coming from within. This is why you don't need to fight your circumstances. You don't need to force the world to change. You only need to persist in the inner vision until it takes root so deeply that it becomes your new identity. The outer world is compelled to match the pattern you've formed within. And yes, this requires persistence, because the world will try to distract you. Your senses will scream, "This isn't real." Friends and family may raise eyebrows. Doubt will knock on your door, especially when nothing seems to change at first. But imagination is not a quick fix. It's a discipline. It's a sacred practice. And those who learn to use it consistently, patiently, and with trust find that it reshapes not only their results, but who they become in the process. So if reason tells you it's impossible, that's okay. You're not asking reason to believe it. You're asking yourself to see it, to feel it, to live it within. Don't wait for the world to change so you can believe it. Believe it and watch the world catch up. Imagination is not childish. It is the master key. It is the preview of life's coming attractions and the most powerful tool you will ever use to rewrite your story. And the best part? It's always with you. You don't need a bank loan. You don't need permission. All you need is the willingness to see with your mind what your eyes cannot. Yet, that's how belief is born. That's how mountains move. That's how impossibilities dissolve. And it all begins with the simplest, most overlooked truth. Imagination creates reality. Live from the end, let's explore a powerful idea, one that turns traditional thinking upside down. Most people live their lives by reacting to what they see. If things go well, they feel good. If things go wrong, they feel defeated. They wait for the outside world to give them permission to believe in success, peace, or love. But what if it worked the other way around? What if the outside world wasn't the cause, but the effect? To create true change, you have to reverse the flow of power. You must learn to live not from the situation you're in, but from the one you desire. This means learning how to live from the end. Living from the end is not wishful thinking. It's not daydreaming about a better future while secretly doubting it will ever come. It's about assuming the position, the posture, and the mindset of the person who already has what they want now. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances shift, but today, inwardly. So let's say you're pursuing a goal. Maybe it's financial freedom, a deeper relationship, a creative breakthrough, or even a healing. Living from the end means stepping into the version of yourself who already has it. You begin to walk, talk, think, and feel as if it's already done. You don't ask, will it happen? You ask, what would my life look like if it already had? And this is the question that changes everything. Because the moment you answer it honestly, you start to reshape your inner experience. You begin to embody a new state of consciousness. And this shift, this invisible turning point, is what gives birth to visible results. Imagine the person you would be if your desire were fulfilled. How would you carry yourself? What thoughts would you think in the quiet moments? What choices would you make? How would you treat others and yourself? You step into those answers. You let them become your daily practice. Let's go deeper. When people want change, they often say things like, I'll feel confident once I get the job, or I'll relax when I'm out of debt, or I'll feel happy when I meet the right person. But these are all reactions. They're responses to future conditions. And because they're tied to conditions, they can easily keep you stuck. You're essentially saying, I can't feel the result until the result happens. But here's the paradox. The result can't happen until you feel it. This is why living from the end is so powerful. It teaches you to feel ahead of the facts. It invites you to anchor your emotions and beliefs in the finished vision, even when reality seems unchanged. It's not a denial of current facts. It's a deeper loyalty to the truth you've chosen to accept. And yes, this might feel awkward at first. Your mind will want proof. It will search for reasons. But the deeper part of you, the part that holds dreams, not data, already knows how to feel what hasn't yet shown up. You've done it before. Think about it. Haven't you ever felt excited just imagining something good? Or anxious just imagining something bad? Your nervous system responds to what you focus on even if it hasn't happened. That's proof that the body and mind can experience something without external confirmation. That's the gateway to belief. Living from the end means you no longer ask what's happening around me, but rather what's happening within me. You stop being a thermometer measuring your environment and you become a thermostat, setting the tone from the inside out. So how do you do this practically? Start with visualization, but not as a distant movie. Visualize from inside the scene. Don't watch yourself succeed. Be the one succeeding. If you're visualizing love, feel the warmth of it. If you're visualizing abundance, hear the way you talk about money when you're free of stress. If you're visualizing healing, feel the ease and peace in your body as if it were already whole. Next, align your behavior. Ask yourself, what will the version of me who already has this do today? It might be small things. Walking with better posture, speaking more confidently, managing your time differently. These shifts seem minor, but they are signals. They tell your subconscious, this is who I am now, and your reality responds to that identity. This process is not about pretending or faking it. It's about identifying with your future self so deeply that it becomes natural. The outer world doesn't define who you are, you do. And when you define yourself from the end, the world will mirror that back to you. There will be moments when doubts arise. That's normal. You may even feel silly at times, acting as though something has happened when every fact says it hasn't. But don't confuse silence with failure. Many of your greatest changes are happening beneath the surface. Like seeds beneath the soil, your inner shifts need time to root before they bloom. Your job is not to control how or when it happens. Your job is to remain faithful to the feeling of the end. Stay loyal to the vision. Keep watering it with attention and emotion. Keep showing up as the person who already knows it's done. Living from the end changes your energy, your presence, and your expectations. It magnetizes the people, ideas, and opportunities that match your chosen reality. It moves you from waiting into receiving, from effort into embodiment. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the gap between where you are and where you want to be, stop, close your eyes, breathe, and ask, if I already had it, how would I feel right now? Then give yourself permission to live in that space, feel it fully, and return to it often. Because when you live from the end begins to live through you. And that is the beginning of true creation. Ignore the evidence of the senses. There comes a point in every journey where what you see with your physical eyes completely contradicts what you believe in your heart. You've been doing the inner work, imagining the outcome, living from the end, and yet the outer world doesn't seem to budge. Maybe it even looks worse than before. This is the moment where many give up, not because the dream is impossible, but because they haven't learned to ignore the evidence of the senses. We're taught to trust what we see, to believe only what can be proven, measured, or confirmed by others. But here's a deeper truth. The senses can only report what has been, not what's becoming. They reflect the past, not the future you're creating. Think about a ship turning in the ocean. The wake behind it shows where it's been, but not where it's going. In the same way, your current circumstances are the wake of previous thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. They are the after effects of your past states of consciousness. They are not the prophecy of your future unless you allow them to be. So what do? When reality says no and your dream says yes, you choose where to place your attention. You choose to believe in the unseen over the seen, not by ignoring reality out of fear or denial, but by refusing to give it the final word. The evidence of the senses is loud, bills in your hand, silence from the person you love, a report that tells you what you fear. These things feel final, but they are only snapshots, not the whole story. They are temporary scenes in a much bigger film, and you are not the audience of that film. You are its director. Let me offer you this perspective. If your senses are showing you something undesirable, take it not as truth, but as feedback. They are revealing where you've been, not where you're destined to remain. They are the old signal, not the new broadcast. You don't fight the old scene. You simply stop reacting to it emotionally. You no longer let it define your identity. You say, yes, this is what appears to be, but I know what is. And what is the feeling I've claimed within myself. You hold to that feeling like it's more real than anything outside you, because in truth, it is. The imagination, when used persistently, is more powerful than any facts. Facts change. But the state you occupy in consciousness, what you inwardly accept as true, that is what forms the new facts. Let's be real, this takes courage. It takes trust. It takes being willing to walk by inner vision, not outer evidence. People may not understand it. They may say you're being unrealistic. But this kind of unrealism is the birthplace of every breakthrough. No inventor, artist, or revolutionary ever changed the world by agreeing with what already was. They saw something different. And they held to that vision despite opposition, criticism, and so-called proof that it wouldn't work. You must do the same in your own life. When you close your eyes and feel the wish fulfilled, when you refuse to surrender to the visible circumstances, you are practicing one of the highest forms of faith. You're not ignoring reality, you're rewriting it. Let's make this even more practical. Let's say you've been visualizing abundance, but your bank account says otherwise. If you accept the number on the screen as the whole truth, your inner work loses its power. But if you acknowledge the number without fear, and then persist in your inner feeling of security, of freedom, of wealth, you are choosing to give authority to your imagination over your senses. You go into your inner world and you dwell there. You feel the experience of paying for things with ease. You hear the voice inside you say, everything is taken care of. You sense the relief of knowing you're supported. And you walk through your day aligned with that energy. Will your outer world change instantly? Maybe, maybe not. But your inner world already has. And because of that, the outer must follow. It may happen subtly, or it may surprise you with a dramatic shift. But it will respond. It has to. Because the outer is the shadow of the inner. Another example, let's say you're manifesting love. You've imagined the relationship, the connection, the companionship, but day after day, there's no call, no sign. And your mind says it's not working. Here's your choice. Believe the silence or trust the seed. Every thought you plant, every feeling you nurture is a seed in the soil of your subconscious. Just because you can't see roots growing doesn't mean nothing's happening. Nature doesn't sprout the moment you plant. It takes time, but it always responds to consistency. Ignoring the senses doesn't mean being passive or inactive. It means being non-reactive. It means refusing to let appearances pull you back into doubt. It means you remain faithful to your vision in the face of contradiction. And when you do this, when you stay rooted in belief, even when nothing changes, something profound happens. You shift your identity. You become the version of yourself who is no longer hoping but knowing, no longer asking but claiming. And in this state, you stop looking for evidence. Why? Because you become the evidence. You stop seeking confirmation from the world. You are the confirmation. And before long, the world catches up. People change, situations evolve. The very things you imagined begin to appear, sometimes so naturally, so seamlessly that you barely notice the shift. But it happens. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped doubting it. So the next time life presents you with a scene you don't want, take a breath. Smile even. Remind yourself, this may be what I see, but it's not what I know. And what you know, what you continue to assume, feel, and live from within, will always reshape what you see. Inner conversations shape out of experience. Let's pause and consider a simple truth. We are always talking to ourselves. From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, a constant stream of thoughts, self-talk, and inner dialogue runs through our minds. Sometimes it's quiet and subtle. Other times it's loud and demanding. But whether we realize it or not, these inner conversations are shaping our world. We tend to think that the outer world is what determines how we feel. But it's actually the other way around. What you accept, repeat, and dwell on in your inner conversations becomes the blueprint of your external experience. Imagine walking into a room full of people and telling yourself, no one here wants to talk to me. Even if that's not true, you likely carry yourself in a way that makes that assumption come to life. You might stay quiet, avoid eye contact, and unconsciously send signals that push people away. But it all started with a conversation no one else could hear. Now imagine the opposite. You walk in thinking, I'm welcomed here. People are happy to connect with me. Even if no one greets you right away, your energy will be different. You'll be open, relaxed, and confident. And, more often than not, others will respond to that. This is not just social psychology. This is the creative power of consciousness in motion. Your inner conversations, those quiet phrases you repeat to yourself, carry emotional weight. They're not just thoughts. They're assumptions. And assumptions, when persisted in, become beliefs. Beliefs shape actions. Actions shape outcomes. But let's go even deeper. When you're working toward a goal, whether it's health, career, love, or peace, it's not enough to visualize the end once and then go back to doubting it all day. What really determines your progress is the inner dialogue you maintain between the visualizations. Let's say you visualize having your dream job. You feel excited, you see yourself succeeding, but then throughout the day you catch yourself saying things like, I'm not good enough. This always takes forever. It probably won't work anyway. Each of these phrases is like a subtle message to your subconscious mind, canceling out the vision you just planted. And the subconscious is always listening, not to your hopes, not to your formal words, but to your dominant tone, your consistent inner narrative. If you want to change your life, start by changing your self-talk. Talk to yourself as the person who has already succeeded. If your desire is wealth, ask yourself, how would I speak to myself if I already had it? What kinds of things would I tell myself about money, about value, about receiving? And then, gently but consistently, begin replacing your inner conversations with those new phrases. Instead of, I don't know how this will work, say to yourself, Everything is working out for me, even if I can't see it yet. Instead of "no one notices me," say, "I'm deeply valued, the right people see me and respond." Instead of "I'm always behind," say, "I move in perfect timing. I am exactly where I need to be." These new conversations might feel unfamiliar at first. They may feel like you're lying to yourself, but you're not lying. You're aligning. You're choosing the voice of your desired future over the echo of your familiar past. And here's what's truly transformative. The more you engage in inner conversations that reflect your chosen state, the more natural they become. They go from feeling like effort to feeling like identity. Eventually, you don't have to force the thought. It becomes your default. People often wonder how to persist in belief. This is how. You persist not through strain, but through repetition, through gentle inner course correction. Every time you catch yourself drifting into old, fearful self-talk, you steer yourself back with compassion and clarity. And this isn't just about big goals. It applies to everyday life. Let's say you're facing a difficult conversation, or trying to improve your health, or hoping for something to shift at work. The way you speak to yourself before the event, during it, and after it holds more power than you realize. If you constantly affirm within, "this is going to be hard," your body will tense up, your focus will narrow, and your energy will dim. But if you shift to, "I can handle this, I've got the insight I need, this will go better than expected," you bring in a whole new frequency of action. Your inner world is the scriptwriter. Life plays out the scenes you rehearse internally. And what's beautiful about this is, you're never stuck. You can revise a scene at any time. Even after something has happened, you can go back in your imagination and rewrite it. You can rehearse a better version of that conversation. You can hear the words you wanted to say or receive. And as you do, your emotional response shifts. And that emotional shift creates new possibilities in the future. We are not victims of our inner talk. We are the authors of it. And if we're the authors, that means we can rewrite any chapter at any time. Start small if you need to. Choose one area of your life where you've been hard on yourself. Then begin today to change the conversation. Don't wait for results. Let the new conversation become the result. Because here's the truth. Your outer life is a mirror, not a maker. It reflects the conversations you've been having in the quiet. So fill that quiet with words that affirm, uplift, and support the version of you you're becoming. Speak as though you're already there. Think as though it's already yours. Whisper to yourself as the one who knows. It's done. I've got this. I am more than enough. And let that voice become your new reality. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Faith is often misunderstood. We're told to have it, to hold on to it, to believe despite the odds. But what is faith really? It's not blind hope. It's not wishful thinking. True faith is something much deeper. It is loyalty to the unseen reality. It's the quiet, unshakable conviction that what you have imagined, felt, and assumed is already yours, even when there's no physical evidence yet, even when the world around you looks unchanged, even when your senses try to contradict you. Faith isn't passive. It's active, deliberate, and powerful. It's the discipline of holding your inner vision steady, regardless of external noise. It's the willingness to stay loyal to your imagined outcome, not just when it feels easy, but especially when it feels hard. This kind of faith doesn't wait for confirmation, it creates it. It walks into the unknown, fully clothed in the energy of the fulfilled desire. It doesn't say, "I hope this happens someday." It says, it's already done. I just haven't walked into the moment of its appearance yet. When you walk by faith, you're not denying the facts. You're recognizing a higher truth. You're saying, yes, this is what appears to be, but I know something greater. I've seen it in my imagination. I've felt it in my body. I've chosen it in my spirit. And the world must eventually bend to match that choice. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between thought and form. It is the invisible builder of every visible structure in your life. And like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. Each time you choose to persist in belief where nothing is showing, each time you choose to assume the best in the face of doubt, each time you feel gratitude before the result, you are training your spirit in faith. You are building an inner structure that nothing in the outer world can shake. You may not always know how or when, but faith doesn't need to know that. Faith only needs one thing: to remain loyal to what you've seen in your imagination as real. Let that be enough. Stay loyal to your vision, your inner conversations, your chosen state. Because the moment you do, the unseen begins to take form. And your loyalty to that invisible reality becomes the foundation of everything that follows.